So, Senator Dianne Feinstein has passed away. First off, rest in peace to Senator Feinstein. She had a long respected career. She genuinely did. You know, uh, she first came in really to the public sphere. Oh, she was in the public sphere before that, but she first became a household name when she became mayor of San Francisco in a really turbulent time in the city's history. So at that time, the Mayor Moscone, as well as one of the county supervisors, Harvey Milk, had just been assassinated by their fellow supervisor, Dan White. And this famous event, which has been actually depicted in the movie Milk, which is an interesting one. You should probably watch that if you haven't. Um, it really relates to LGBT history, and even if you're not interested in that sort of thing, I still think it's actually a good watch. Yeah, Harvey Milk was actually the first gay man that was elected to public office, which at that time it's pretty significant. There had been no one before that. It's not it's not really quite the equivalent of the modern intersectional firsts that are celebrated, which we will see exactly that, because the death of Feinstein means that there has to be another senator appointed. And that's always a fun time in every state. And so Newsom has decided on an extraordinary choice, if you ask me. So we have Laphonza Butler, the Emily's List president and Kamala Harris ally, entering the Senate. So, on first impression, to nominate someone who is CEO, or is actually the current CEO up until this nomination, of Emily's List, is an extraordinary choice to me, because Emily List is actually a left-wing super PAC. And normally super PACs are not super popular and are a little bit frowned upon in many political circles, especially in the left. But apparently, if it is one that is on the left that's specifically involved in getting women elected to Congress or other political offices that support abortion, apparently then it's okay. Excuse me. So, Laphonza Butler was a young organizer learning her way around California politics when she met Kamala Harris, then district attorney of San Francisco. Butler, who was 30 at the time, had recently moved to Los Angeles from the East Coast to oversee a large union of long-term care and assisted living workers. So she was a union boss for the healthcare workers, which is a staunch ally of the Democratic Party. Both, over time, the two black women, both of whom attended historically black universities, would form a close relationship. They bonded over how to advance economic security and the well-being of women. I would always call her for advice. She would always call me for advice, the 44-year-old Butler told USA Today. So, something to note, age 44 in terms of politics is considered quite young. So, this draws contrast to the late 90-year-old Senator Dianne Feinstein, right? Now, the women have something else to talk about. Butler's appointment to fill the U.S. Senate seat that Dianne Feinstein held until her death last week. So, excuse me. Before becoming vice president, Harris served alongside Feinstein for 4 years as California's junior senator. And Butler will now join the U.S. Senate until 2024. The 2024 election is held to fill the seat that Feinstein had already announced she was retiring from. Yeah, so several sitting Democratic lawmakers are already competing. So this is the interesting thing. Representatives Barbara Lee, Adam Schiff, and Katie Porter. So, And so this race is expected to be expensive and bruising for more than 6 months. So all of these representatives are fairly prominent. In the case of Barbara Lee and Adam Schiff, they've been there for a very long time. Katie Porter, she's a more recent entrant. So I'll start with her. She is, she used to represent before the 2020 redistricting, which really only went into effect in 2023. Oh, that is the redistricting based upon the 2020 census. And so, yeah, this is what the district looks like now with Michelle Park Steele, that is. But if you go down here, you can see the historical district boundaries. So this is what it was up until just the last election. Yeah, so it was the Mission Viejo area, Rancho Santa Margarita, and Irvine, right? But also as well as Orange. So it included these areas, which are the Mission Viejo area is traditionally very conservative. Not as much so to this day, but it's certainly no Democrat stronghold. She was able to win that, and now her district is quite different. That is, including Irvine and areas that actually used to be traditionally Republican strongholds, Huntington Beach and Newport Beach, as well as Costa Mesa, Laguna Beach, and Seal Beach, of course. So that's a little place, nice town if you're ever in the area. Check out Seal Beach. Anyway, so her sort of appeal here, or she's probably going to be the most moderate, or position herself as the most moderate, or at least part of her electability appeal. Well, I guess Democrats don't really need an electability appeal in California, but I guess she will try to position herself as someone who can, I guess, work bipartisanly, because, you know, she got elected from a relatively purple district. And again, so yeah, this is only it's Cook PVI score, which is like a scale of how right-leaning or left-leaning a district is. D+3 would be that 3 percentage point difference. So an example of a 1 percentage point difference, right, would be if you win by 50% or 50.5%, right? Because there's one difference between 50.5 and 49.5, and so on and so forth. So it's not that unbalanced. Adam Schiff, it's a different case. He represents this LA district, Burbank, Glendale. Although being suburban, much like Orange County, and not that far, he also represents Hollywood and the Hollywood Hills as well. Almost like a stereotypically liberal district, I suppose you could say. Right, D+23. And Barbara Lee, then, she comes from another community. She represents, rather, Oakland and sort of East Bay region. I guess, strictly speaking, I guess the East Bay would refer to a lot of these would include Hayward and Fremont, but nonetheless, Oakland, Alameda, Berkeley itself, right, where the UC Berkeley is, D+40, right? So the reason why Newsom didn't want to nominate one of them for the interim, to be the interim senator, is he didn't want to, favor one candidate or the other and interfere in the election. But what Newsom won't tell you is that no matter who he picks, as the interim senator, he's affecting the election, because chances are now his appointment, Laphonza Butler, is now going to be running for the Senate seat. And she has a very good chance of actually being the winner. So this might have turned from a 3-person race to a 4-person race. That's quite significant. So It'll be interesting to see. So under the state's jungle primary system, the top two vote getters would advance to the general, regardless of political party. The seat is expected to remain in Democratic hands. It is unclear Butler. She plans to compete. It is unclear Butler. She plans to compete for the seat. Oh, I forgot the word if. I was confused there. I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. It is unclear if Butler. Wait, no. If Butler. Well, whatever. So it's unclear if she intends to compete for the seat, right? So she's a current resident of Maryland. Are you kidding me? What? Is that even legal? A spokesman said she owns a home in View Park, California, and a place in LA where she will reside. She's already re-registered to vote in the state. Are you kidding me? No way. That's amazing. That's great. The Super PAC president, who lives in Maryland, will now be our new senator here in California. This week, Laphonza is focused on respecting and honoring Senator Feinstein's legacy and getting ready to serve the people of California in the Senate. Politics. Can't wait. Matthew Wing, a spokesman for Butler, said in a statement. A longtime organizer with union roots, Butler was in her 20s, organizing food service workers and janitors when she left for California. The move to SEIU in 2015 was a big step for Butler, who did not have experience leading a union chapter. She consolidated membership of the local to turn it into the largest union in California and the largest union of home health workers. The change ruffled some other union... whoa, okay. Yeah, so... The changes ruffled some other union organizers as she quickly became a powerful force within the SEIU. Oh, so she pissed off a lot of other union members by a lot of other union bosses by consolidating a bunch of unions together and basically putting them all under her control. She was a union boss for nearly a decade, leaving to become a partner in the firm that advised Harris in her 2019 presidential bid, which is a disaster, by the way. Like, you've still heard of her. I mean, you've still heard of her to this day because she was appointed by Joe. And I suppose she'd probably still be in the Senate, if Joe hadn't appointed her to vice president. But her presidential campaign was not memorable, not impactful. If you remember her stickers of Kamala Harris for the people, it was a really terrible campaign, terrible branding, terrible messaging. I mean, really terrible everything. It was a very, very bad presidential campaign. She did not do well. And Joe Biden picked her as a vice president. And to be honest, it was kind of a confusing choice. I'm not really, to this day, sure why he did that. Other than, I guess, some sort of intersectional appeal, I suppose. But there's so many better options, There really are. Yeah, so the campaign that ended with Harris quitting the race before any of the contests were held. Oh man, really? Was it before any of them? I thought she was in Iowa at least. That's really bad. Wow. Because I think she had some pretty big money. She has some pretty big money behind her. To not even make it to Iowa. So yeah. She left politics to advise Airbnb. Left politics? She advised one failed campaign. Was she really in politics? I don't know. So she was the first woman of color to serve as president of Emily's List. It's an organization that works to elect Democratic pro-abortion rights women. It is a political action committee. It is. So she became a leading voice in the progressive movement against the Supreme Court's ruling in the Dobbs case and GOP-backed laws that curb abortion access in individual states. Okay, so she's obviously a huge abortion activist. She's big on that issue. That's going to be kind of her focus. That and other sort of related issues. The Republican Party has been working to chip away at a woman's right to make decisions about her own body and the freedom to decide when she wants to have a family. In the position, she helped organize a political rally with other abortion rights groups in support of President Joe Biden and Vice President Harris on the day the pair announced their re-election bid in April, which is interesting because it shows she's definitely a political organizer, because I don't really think there was that much organic excitement on the day that, or about Joe Biden announcing his re-election. I don't really think that many people came out to celebrate that, and that was that big of a deal in real, genuine circles. So, so she was the first black LGBT person to represent California in the Senate. She's the first openly LGBT person to represent California in the Senate, and the first black lesbian to openly serve in Congress. Whoa, so is that... whoa, hold up now. I'm being blown away. Is this 3 different intersectional firsts? First openly LGBT person to represent California in the Senate. First black lesbian to openly serve in Congress. And first black LGBT person to represent California in the Senate. I guess that's like 2.5. Okay. Butler and her partner, Nekki Lee, share a daughter. So, strange way to put it. Share a daughter, Nyla. That's a weird... I haven't seen anyone say share a daughter. That's really weird. Why didn't they just say have a daughter? Like, I guess it was presumably because she was adopted. I would assume based upon the wording. That's weird. Butler and her... Yeah, so Newsom noted that she will be only the second black woman to represent the state in the Senate. In a Monday email to her supporters, said Butler follows in the footsteps of Vice President Kamala Harris. Okay, so she also has a second, so... we'll say the second's half of a first, and we'll bring up the 2.5 firsts to a full 3 intersectional firsts. The work that friends have done together in the past, or the work that the friends have done together in the past, provides some clues as to what Butler may do as a senator. She said in a previous interview that Harris worked with her to make sure background checks would be provided fairly and equitably to home care workers, who are predominantly women and women of color. Well, I'll tell you, my grandmother used to be a home care worker before she retired. She never mentioned anything about difficulty in background checks. I'm not even sure what that means exactly. I know, obviously I know what a background check and employment is, but I don't really understand how a background check could be provided fairly or equitably. And inversely, I don't know how it would necessarily be unfair and inequitable. Isn't a background check intrinsically just check what your background record is? I don't really understand what that would entail. So that's weird. She also praised Harris for the impact that she had on young people who are trying to find their own pathway to leadership, saying it is an important voice that Harris brings to the administration, and talked up to the vice president focus on black maternal health. Is because she's saying like she's young? Kamala Harris is not that young. Also weird. There's a lot of weird stuff in this article. I'm not going to lie. Bizarre. Relationships with women senators. In working to elect Democratic women as head of Emily List, Butler had already established relationships with several of her female colleagues. Senator Maggie Hassan, whose re-election she campaigned for last year in New Hampshire, said in a post on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, "I know how fierce a champion you are for a woman's fundamental freedom in particular, and I look forward to working with you to deliver results to the American people." So, Senator Patty Murphy said the current chair of the Appropriations Committee and the first woman to chair both the Veterans Affairs and Budget panels. I'm overloaded on intersectional firsts right now. It's crazy. So he said on social media that she was thrilled to welcome such a strong champion of women's rights, labor, and reproductive freedom to the U.S. Senate. And she was looking forward to working with her on many issues, from protecting abortion rights to making child care more affordable and accessible. Yeah. Okay. So what I see that happen is Governor Newsom seems to have nominated someone who's really extraordinarily left wing, actually, to the Senate. Again, if she plans on running, I mean, she'll probably win because ultimately, like, the Democratic Party could probably nominate a shoe and they would win the Senate race in California against whatever candidate the Republicans have. I haven't even heard of any candidate on the Republican side. I have no idea. In fact, let's see. California Senator election candidates. Let's see who the Republican candidate even is. Let's give him a fair shake. California U.S. Senate. That's the right way to put it. Yeah. So basically, oh, this is 2022. Oh wow, that tells you something. Mark Moiser had 1 million. Alex Padilla 12. That was 2022. So it'll be. Is it a 2024 election? Yeah, I guess it is. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was going to be 2024 or maybe later this year. Oh, I guess if it was later this year, I would have already heard about it. So yeah, Adam Schiff, like I said, Barbara Lee, like I said, Katie Porter. Is that it? Really? Is there no Republican? Hmm. Whoa. Democratic Party. Republic. Oh, okay, so I mean, there's Eric Early. Okay, he's ran for a couple things before in the statewide. Um, he's just a lawyer though. James Bradley, candidate for U.S. Senate and runner-up, and yeah, that's not impressive. Well, healthcare executive. I mean that impressive career. Don't get me wrong, but not an impressive candidate. Educator, Jehu Hand, natural burial business owner. You're joking me. Sounds like a kook. Oh, and convicted felon. That's always fun. Zakaria Kortum, social media company CEO and college student. Sounds like probably a cool dude, but well, I don't know if Zakaria is a guy or girl. Actually, that might be a girl. Sarah Sun Liu, candidate for U.S. Senate in 2022. Oh, that's the same district as this guy. That's so Sarah Sun Liu and James Bradley appear to both be Republican candidates who both lost for the 33rd congressional district. James Bradley was actually the one who came above Sarah Sun Liu. Both of them lost, of course, to Pete Aguilar. As this is, San Bernardino. It's north of Fontana and some Rancho Cucamonga. Maybe also, not Redlands, but right up to it. Yeah. Terrible candidates, obviously. Like, really worse than I would normally expect from the California Republicans. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that's basically it. So that's who we have as our interim senator. We'll see if she runs or not. If she does run, she'll probably be one of the most left-wing members of the Senate. That's for sure.